Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kechelle, and today we're starting a series that I like to call Reading Books Based on the Themes in My Bullet Journal. I'm excited. Okay, so my bullet journal right now for January, and I know January is about to end, but my bullet journal is this beautiful blue theme. We have this one-line drawing of a face. It's over here. One-line drawing of a face. These are beautiful flowers, some Dutch doors, which I absolutely love. I love a good Dutch door, right? Okay, and habit tracker, mood tracker. And I decided, since I am always so heavily immersed in these colors that I decide to use in my journal, because I'm always reaching for the same colors for my habit tracker, for my mood trackers. If I want to write anything in my planner, it's all going to be in the same color scheme. So since I'm always immersed in the same few colors, the same scheme for an entire month, I decided why not go ahead and read some books based on the theme. So with that being said, as y'all see, the theme is blue. All shades of blue and a little bit of purple, but I wanted to stay in the blue family, and I am going to be reading books that are blue. So I want to do two different things in every single video. I want to find either the theme or the color or some type of object in the title as well as on the cover. Does not have to be the same book. For instance, for this month, it just so happened that the word blue and the color blue were on the book cover and in the title. When I say on the book cover, I mean in the art. So one of the books that I'm going to read is Black in Blues by Imani Perry. And as you can see, beautiful blue right there on the cover in the art, but also in the title. That's not going to happen every single month. I know that. And for next month, I'm really excited to play around with the words that I'm going to use. I already have the theme in mind. I'm planning to record that bullet journal set up for you guys, but I want to play around with it. I don't want it to always be so obvious as the color, although it may happen that way. The first book, this is the second book that I read. Back up. And we're going to talk more about this book after we pick it up from the library later on in the video. That's the second book. Yes, the first book that I read is called Blue, and it's literally called Blue. Now this book I found because that book I found in the library, and I had already heard some people talking about it. I found that by going to the library website, typing in the word blue, that popped up. I think it's circulating right now. It's very popular. The other book that I found, the first book that we are going to read together in this vlog, I typed blue into the Kindle app, the Amazon Kindle app on my phone. I wasn't really liking the original pics that came up, so I just tapped on the filter for Kindle Unlimited and I found this book. I had never heard of it before. And this book is about a young woman. It's a narrator that is unnamed, and she is on her way to her home, Prince, I'm gonna put it on the screen. I forgot, but it's in Haiti. There's a specific name for it in Haiti, and she calls it the Brew Province. And she is just narrating her life, very specific moments of her life as it pertains to her mom, her aunt whose funeral she's going to, her aunt's children, which are her cousins, her neighborhood, her neighbors, and how she views herself. This is really heavy on grief talk, internal monologue, and it is a very heavy stream of consciousness. Just one paragraph flows into the other. The writing is poetic, it is immersive, and it is a book that I was not used to reading. And when I read it out loud, it doesn't sound as bad because I'm listening to it, and when I was listening to it on the narration, it helped me a lot. But when I read it out loud to y'all and I watch the clips back, I'm like, oh, it doesn't sound as bad. But when I'm literally reading it for myself for the first time, it was a struggle. It took me up until like 40% to get into it. However, I loved it. That's enough of that. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, guys. We're going to jump start this with a little bit of an introduction of the book. We're going to go to the library, all types of things. But let me know down in the comments what themes or what colors I should do for which months for my bullet journal, or for my reading journal, which I don't have right now, or for my planner. Any of the ideas that you have, I would love to read through them just to get some inspiration and some ideas. And I have to go because my dog just got the zoomies. But thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next clip. Okay, hey y'all. we're at the library, and I just picked up the second book for this vlog, which is Black in Blues by Imani Perry. This is how a color tells the story of my people. All I know is that I thought it was short stories, but I don't think so. It says throughout history, Black life has been remarkably intertwined with another color, blue. In daily life, it is evoked in countless ways, from the hopelessness of a blue sky to the deep melancholy of Louis Armstrong's question of what did I do to be so black and blue. Perry traces both blue and blackness from their earliest roots to their many embodiments of contemporary, I can read, I'm sorry, to their many embodiments of contemporary culture, drawing deeply from her own life as well as from art and history. The dyed indigo cloths of West Africa that were traded for human life in the 16th century, the fundamentally American art form of blues music sitting at the crossroads of pain and pleasure, the blue flowers Perry plants to honor a loved one gone too soon. Okay, so yes, that is the second book in this vlog. It's only 237 pages, so hopefully we can finish it by tomorrow night. The first book in this vlog, Blue, is literally just called Blue. At first, I didn't really know what was going on, except that our narrator was in an airport. And even that was like, okay, is she? And the only reason I would know that she was in the airport is because like the first sentence of the chapters will be in the airport, about her being in an airport. This book is a stream of consciousness that I don't really understand. For example, I brought my Kindle. Let me see if I can find an example of what I'm talking about. But at first, I will say it was really hard to figure out or to get my pace with it, and the audiobook has helped a lot. The audiobook has helped a lot with the pacing of how this book is written, and it's helped a lot in my understanding. Since it's paced well, I understand that she's just talking about her life. The narrator is unnamed, but she is going to a funeral, I believe her aunt's funeral. Christy, this is how she describes the woman whose funeral she's going to see. Her name was Christy, and she wore earrings that swayed in the night the same way her sadness swayed in the depths of her eyes. One evening, she lost one of her earrings. I remember her spinning around and around in the dark, searching, already dying one of the many painful deaths that would come to her. A waft of coffee, a flurry of movement, life rising up. I think of the sea that flowed through her, of the bruises that life inflicted on her. I see a little face that never quite emerged from the mist, a little face that lived 11 years of silence and decided one morning to melt into an illusion. That faded away because of Christie's absence while she struggled in unknown cities alongside passerby without faces, without passions. That is how this entire book is written. It's almost like, I don't want to say it's in riddles, because that's not a riddle. She's very much saying what she wants to be said. But it's just not used to I'm just not used to it, which that's fine. But that's why I was struggling. Okay. My Kindle is moving slow. I'm trying to get to my other annotations by clicking this button right here, like to move up to my other annotations. And it's just not doing it. Death makes me ashamed in reality. I am ashamed when I lose someone, ashamed to say it, ashamed to feel the grief. There remained only the thousands of kilometers of solitude to share. No one was alive. No one believed they could get out. Death was the only choice. At least it didn't demand complicated explanations. It seemed to me like I was seeing false grief everywhere. Public displays. So that's a lot about what this book is. It's about, I think it's about women moving through life, having children, making mistakes, and having to live with those mistakes or abandon life that you would think comes with living with that mistake. She's also obviously talking about grief and how she feels that grief is the only way out of certain situations. I mean, death is the only way out of certain situations for her family. She's from Haiti, and some of her family was able to move to America and stay. Some moved to America and had to go back. Some never left the small town. And the reason it's called Blue is because she calls the place, the Blue Province is what she calls it. And she even says, like, I don't even know why I call it the Blue Province, because it's not the real name of it. But some of her family and just people in general are unable to leave that place. They're kind of shackled to that area, except when they die. So I've been listening to it. The audiobook has helped me a lot. I'm 44% through it, and I just got my footing in this book around the 20% mark about what she was really talking about, who she was really talking about, and how it's affecting her. It's reminding me a little bit of Americana by Chimamanda Adichie, where she's in one place but her mind is somewhere else. The main character in that book was in the hair salon for a very long time, but she was reminiscing, and there were so many vivid descriptions of her past that you forgot she was in a hair salon until the author brought you back to the fact that she was getting her hair braided. And I'll never forget, because I started reading this book in like 2018 or something like that, 2019. I started reading this book, and I had never read a book like that. And I call that book dense, because there are so many topics of discussion in a small span of pages in that book. But I was on the elevator. I was on a work trip in New York City with this company that I don't work for anymore. I was a teacher. It was a school, but anyway, I call it a company because that's really what it was. And one of the women I was on a trip with, we were like leaving the airport or something like that, and I had the book in my bag because I was reading it on the plane. And she was like, "Oh, you're reading that book? How's it going for you so far?" I was like, "It's going pretty good." And she was like, "She never leaves the hair salon." I was like, "What?" And she laughed so hard. She was like, "I'm kidding, but I didn't know if you were gonna get the joke or not." And she laughed so hard because she is in that hair salon for so long. Like I said, you forget that she's there, but then when they bring you back to it, you're like, dang, she's still getting her hair braided. We didn't talk to her being a child, being a teenager, her finding her first love, her mama, her parents being broke or not broke. We didn't talk about skin types and what it means to be depressed. Girl, we had talked about so much stuff. It's like, dang, girl, you still getting your hair braided? But if you know, shit, getting your hair braided can take all day anyway. So anyway, I am, like I said, 44% through this book. It's an experience. So I'm going to tag you along a little bit later. We're about to leave the library. I'm debating if I want to go to the second library on this side of town, or if I just want to take her home and go to a library on the other side of town. Don't know. I think she's over it. What do y'all think? You over it? I think she's over it. I think she's sleepy. Oh, you're sleepy. I don't know why she don't want to lay down. Anyway, I'm gonna get her situated, get her some water. I might walk her again, and then we'll figure out where we're going to get the rest of my books for another vlog.
But yeah, so this is our Black Studies room.
Okay.
And these are all sort of the reference copy that lives in here.
Okay.
If there's not another copy available in the system, then you can check these out.
Nice.
And this over here is our other subject headings. So beauty, history, media and art, social science, that sort of thing.
So one of them should be able to be checked out?
Yes. So we can look at these.
Okay.
So.
Your mama's dysfunctional.
That's funny. This one's searching. Yeah, and no shelf location. So this one should be out.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. And then, yeah, you're welcome to browse.
it's actually kind of more like a museum. It's both. It's a part of, look how beautiful that is. So it's a part of the historical district. I feel weird because people are looking at me probably. Look at all those windows. I need to get back to my dog. But it's a part of the historical district. They have made the front part of the library a museum and the back part of the library and a study space. It's so pretty. I finished Blue, the story by Emile Prophet. Sorry. But apparently she is from Port-au-Prince, where the story takes place, where the narrator is going back to. The last paragraph in this story was so heartbreaking, just after everything had come to fruition. One of the things I can say about this story is there were some surprises, and if I was not paying attention, I would have missed it. Or if I had gotten lost in the language, lost in the context of what she was saying, I would have missed it. We do find some very personal, we find out some very personal things about our narrator. We still don't know her name, but just this whole story and the beauty of, or the sorrow of grief, and especially somebody that close to you going back home when you've been away for so long, when you have called another place home for so long. And it's just, it was kind of sad. Friday shatters the morning sun. Yesterday's rain persists gently. I linger in front of my mirror, exhaling great clouds from a cold cigarette. I am a sort of stain in this house. The mirror captures me entirely. I don't like myself. I'm standing in front of these clothes, all suffused with my perfume, too much of me. I have always kept too much space for myself. I overwhelm myself. I'm suffocating in all this space. I hide behind the yellowed pages. The books were the only things that came with me when I moved out of my former lives. I have spoken about Marcel Proust far more than I have about my own people. I am ashamed. I mean, it's like one thought merges into another. And that was just 2 paragraphs. It's just on and on and on, her inner monologue about what she thinks about herself, what she thinks other people think about her, the people in her community coming back to her community, like I said, after she had been gone away for so long. It's just, I could read quotes and quotes on and on. I surge and retreat like a wave, rebellious and resigned to unhappiness. I have never lived anywhere else, but I can't feel my roots here. I mean, just so poetic, but I think that it was all wrapped up. It was just like, it honestly, it's just like, what does it mean to live and to truly live a life that you love? What does it mean to grieve somebody who are you really close with? And what do you do when you've left such a big life behind? When you left the most important people to you, when you leave them behind in a city and you return, what that feels like. This was a pretty heavy book. It was pretty heavy. It's one of those books that I had to sit with, and I never rated it, and I finished that book, I know, about a week ago now. But it's one of those books that I need to sit with and just really, I feel like a 4 is too low, a 5 is too high, because some of the things just went right over me. I need to reread it. And some things, like a book like this, sometimes I would just give a 5 just because it was so poignant and so immersive, and just, if it goes over my head, sometimes like, it's a 5 because but that doesn't really make sense. My enjoyment of this book is like a 3.5. What I know she's saying and how she's writing it is a 5. So I don't know. Should I just settle at a 4? I'm not sure. But right now I haven't rated it, and I think it is a beautiful, beautiful story, and you should pick it up. It's on Kindle Unlimited. And this, again, is a book that I would have never come across. I would have never read if I was not doing something like this. But it hit home closer than it should have, that I think it should have. And it just, yeah. So on to the next book. Okay, so we are out shopping for Snowmageddon 2026. It's probably not even gonna snow that bad, y'all. It's not. But I'm still reading Black in Blues. This is a story that is, well, this is a book that is compiled of multiple stories, and I'm not really interested in all of them. However, I know that they are very powerful in what she's trying to say. It's a lot of information that I would have never known. I would have never known that Blue was connected so closely to slavery and Black people. For instance, right now she's talking about blue gums and how there was folklore around Black people with blue gums back in the late 1800s, that this man who had blue gums, this Black dude, had blue gums, bit somebody, and they died. Another thing that she has been talking about, which is really interesting, as y'all know, I'm trying to do the anti-brain rot challenge, which means I have chosen. Okay, so y'all know I had to choose a concept that I wanted to study for the entire year, right? And I chose like Black theology, basically. How Black people, well, it's not Black theology. That's not the definition of it, but basically, how did Black Americans become Christian? That's what I want to talk about. And she talks about that a lot in this book, how people, how enslaved people were taken from obviously multiple countries in Africa, but at least, I think she said at least 10% of them were from Congo, and mostly all of them were practiced Islam. So it's really interesting that like it's all of this is tied together: Christianity, the color that she's talking about, folklore, all of the things. So I'm still interested in some of these chapters. I'm gonna keep on reading. I'm still on page 7, but I'll give y'all another update later. Hello, my sweet girl. Hey. Okay, let's talk about this book right here. And before I forget, I want to go ahead and say that I will never look at a Tiffany's blue box the same ever again. So I wrote so many notes. I need to figure out how I'm going to put them in my reading journal, because I was just writing them on like random pieces of decorative paper. Let me just say, oh, this is one of my favorite quotes. I'm going to read this first. Of course, Blackness is not a monolith. It cannot be defined by some common fixed foundation, nor is it some essential spiritual sameness, but a resourcefulness when it comes to remixing the stuff of history, culture, and tradition in order to navigate within the constraints of empire, exploitation, colonialism, and a plain old racism. That is indeed Blackness, and we remix in tandem on every corner of the earth. That was on page 163. And I thought that was a very good quote, because overall, I feel like what she's trying to say is like, no, being Black is not a monolith. There is no one size fits all when it comes to being Black in America, or being Nigerian or Igbo in Nigeria, or, any part of the diaspora. There is no one size fits all, but one thing that all of us have had to do in every corner of the world is figure out how to navigate this world. It's a world led by overall overwhelmingly white men taking over and doing what they want to do for money, really. So over my takeaway from this book is that I believe Imani, from what I was reading, Imani Perry was, and again, I'm talking about Black and Blues: How a Color Tells a Story of My People by Imani Perry. I want to say she's really just telling us literally a story of her people, and blue is just intertwined in that story. Most of these chapters, or not most, all of these chapters are named. There are no numbers. So if you were to ask me, like, I don't know if you would ever ask me what I was talking about or what chapter I was talking about, they're not named. I mean, they're not numbered, but like this one is a sign which will not to be cut off. I don't even remember what that one's about. And that's pretty much my experience with this book. There are topics I believe that she wanted to talk about. And in order to talk about them, I think that she did a lot of research, a lot of really good research, and she was able to put all of these stories together, collect all of these stories, find a common thread, and then compile them into chapters. This is roughly a timeline throughout history, starting way, way back before the 1400s, I believe. As like the first time I believe indigo was ever cultivated and mined in uh, I don't want to get it wrong. I forgot where they found it or wherever, but before slavery, and then as it went through slavery and then through the um reconstruction, segregation, integration, and on and on into blues music. And she's just really she is a very talented author, because this is a story that I would have never I would have never picked this up if I was not doing this vlog, but this is something that I will be thinking about all the time now. It's really fascinating also to me. The thing I said about the Tiffany's, like the blue box at Tiffany's, it's really fascinating how so many areas of our everyday life now and so many things that we have in our society where once the company was either started or also let me I know I'm all over the place. So that's one part of what I'm about to say. The other part of what I'm about to say is that, like, we know, it's very fitting I have on blue leggings. Anyway, we know, or we have heard, that slave owners are rich now today. No, excuse me, let me get my thoughts together. Let me work backwards. What I'm trying to say is that, like, there's a story about Tiffany's and how the owner of that company got a $500 grant from his father, who was a slave owner, and his father's friend, who also was a slave owner. And they were looking to go, like, to help his son out. So, literally, Tiffany's is made off the backs of slave ownership. Also, we know that diamonds and like how they are found or constructed, like it's not a pretty story. Okay. Also, off the backs of workers who are not getting paid their fair share of how much these diamonds are sold for. So it's interesting to put all of that together, because, like, we know that when slavery ended, they had to do something with this money. They started businesses, and we say that, businesses were started off the backs of slaves, but to actually put it in touch and actually follow the trail of the slave money was like, what? So now I don't even look at I'm not even gonna be able to look at the color blue without being like, what's the story? So I enjoyed this book. I did not rate this book because I don't know what to rate it. How do you rate a book like this? One thing I will say is that me going into this book, oh, this is also what I wanted to say. I think that I was going into this book thinking that this was going to be a bullet point list of where the color blue showed up. I don't know what I was thinking, but I wasn't thinking that it was literally going to be a story through time, even though that's what it says on the front. I didn't think that this was going to be like a story through time with so many different collections of people and places and perspectives and lives changed, altered, cultivated through the lens of, like she said, capitalism, and how this color blue kept showing up in folklore. It showed up in as a way to describe people who were not worthy of medical attention and medical care, like black Negroes with blue eyes. Literally, one of the, hey, stop it. One of the phrases and one of the things that she talks about in this book. So I didn't know what to expect. And I just had to keep reminding myself that, like, okay, I got this from this girl named Allison Pages, who used to be a booktuber on here. And she said, when you are reading nonfiction, you should remember three things. I only remember two of them, but she said it all the time when she was reading nonfiction. Number one, you absorb what you can absorb. Anything else is just, it's okay. You're reading a story. When I'm reading a thriller or when I'm reading a romance, I'm not reading it trying to take in every single moment and remember every single thing. Same thing with nonfiction. And number two, there's no test at the end. I don't have to memorize every single thing, but this is a book that makes me want to absorb every single thing, even though that's not possible. So that's my takeaway from this book. I really want to buy it and keep it on my shelves, just pull it out and read certain passages and certain parts of it when I, have the inkling or the urge to do so. But this is a phenomenal book. I absolutely love it. If you're looking for something to read for Black History Month, like I know some people will be looking for something to read specifically for Black History Month, this is a really good book. And I think it is heavy-handed on the messaging. You won't miss it. It took me until like page 90 to really figure out what she was doing, but that's okay. Took me to get to what, like 3/8 of the book, almost halfway through the book, and I was like, aha, I got you, girl. But anyway, that is the end of this blog. That's the end of this vlog, reading blue books because of my blue journal. And hopefully I will see you guys in the next episode of me reading because of my bullet journal. Oh, and I'm going to be putting these into my reading journal at some point. So stay tuned for how I'm going to organize all of my thoughts and all of my thingamajigs. But anyway, thank y'all for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.